The world watches with bated breath as the Russia-Ukraine war enters its third year. The conflict sparked by Russia's invasion in February 2022 has morphed into a protracted crisis. It has claimed countless lives, displaced millions, and destabilized the region. The fighting continues, with no end in sight. The human cost is immeasurable, and the geopolitical implications are profound. The war represents a stark challenge to the international order. Russia's actions have been widely condemned as a violation of Ukraine's sovereignty. The conflict has exposed the fragility of peace in Europe and raised fears of a wider war. The world is grappling with the implications of this conflict as it reshapes alliances and alters the global balance of power. The conflict has also exacerbated existing tensions between Russia and the West. The United States and its allies have imposed severe sanctions on Russia, aiming to cripple its economy and pressure it to negotiate. These sanctions have had a significant impact on the Russian economy, but their effectiveness in altering Putin's calculus remains uncertain. The conflict has plunged relations between Russia and the West to their lowest point since the Cold War. The war in Ukraine is a tragedy for all involved. It is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the importance of diplomacy in resolving international disputes. The international community must work together to find a peaceful solution to this crisis and prevent further suffering. The stakes are high, and the need for a swift resolution is paramount. Amidst the ongoing conflict, glimmers of hope emerge through ongoing peace negotiations. Ukraine, European nations, and the United States are engaged in delicate talks. These discussions represent a fragile opportunity to silence the guns and find a path towards a lasting peace. However, significant obstacles remain, jeopardizing the success of these crucial negotiations. The U.S., under the Trump administration, has taken on the mantle of mediator in this complex conflict. However, President Trump's approach to the conflict has been unorthodox, characterized by a mix of skepticism towards military involvement and a desire for a swift resolution. His public pronouncements on the conflict have often been contradictory, adding layers of complexity to an already volatile situation. The U.S. has proposed a 30-day ceasefire, a move welcomed by Ukraine but swiftly rejected by Russia. This impasse highlights the deep mistrust and divergent objectives that continue to plague the negotiations. Finding common ground between the warring parties remains a Herculean task. The success of the peace talks hinges on bridging these divides and finding mutually acceptable solutions. The negotiations are further complicated by the issue of Crimea. Russia annexed the Crimean Peninsula in 2014, a move condemned by Ukraine and its Western allies. Zelensky insists on a complete and unconditional ceasefire, including the withdrawal of Russian forces from Crimea. However, Trump's stance on Crimea has been ambiguous, creating a point of contention in the negotiations. The United States faces a delicate balancing act in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. On the one hand, the U.S. has provided substantial military and financial aid to Ukraine, demonstrating its commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty and security. This aid has been instrumental in bolstering Ukraine's defense capabilities and resisting Russian aggression. Since the conflict's outbreak, the U.S. has committed over $66.5 billion in aid to Ukraine. This aid encompasses a wide range of military equipment, including air defense systems, ground vehicles, and training. The U.S. aims to bolster Ukraine's ability to defend itself while simultaneously deterring further Russian aggression. This support underscores the U.S. commitment to containing Russia's influence in the region. On the other hand, President Trump has expressed skepticism about increasing U.S. military involvement in the conflict. He favors diplomatic solutions and economic sanctions over direct military intervention. Trump has repeatedly criticized Zelensky's stance on Crimea, viewing it as an impediment to peace and blaming the Obama administration for the territory's annexation. This cautious approach reflects a broader reluctance within the Trump administration to engage in protracted foreign conflicts. The U.S. is wary of escalating the conflict with Russia, a nuclear-armed power. The potential consequences of a direct military confrontation between the U.S. and Russia are too grave to contemplate. The Russia-Ukraine conflict stands at a crossroads balanced precariously between hope and uncertainty. The outcome of this conflict will have profound implications not only for Ukraine and Russia, but for the broader international order. The path forward is fraught with risks and uncertainties, demanding careful consideration of all potential outcomes. A successful outcome to the peace talks could usher in a new era of stability and cooperation in Europe. A ceasefire agreement could pave the way for a lasting peace settlement, addressing the root causes of the conflict. Such an outcome would require significant compromises from both sides, but the potential rewards for peace are immeasurable. However, the possibility of the peace talks collapsing cannot be ignored. Failure to reach a negotiated settlement could prolong the conflict indefinitely, leading to further bloodshed and suffering. A protracted conflict would have devastating consequences for Ukraine, further destabilize the region, and exacerbate tensions between Russia and the West. The US, as a key player in this geopolitical drama, faces a crucial decision. Increased military involvement carries the risk of escalating the conflict and drawing the US into a direct confrontation with Russia. However, disengagement could embolden Russia, undermine US credibility, and have dire consequences for Ukraine's future. The US must carefully weigh the risks and benefits of each course of action, recognizing that its decisions will have far-reaching consequences.